welcome to GSC Excellence Academy. This lecture is on the Hardy-Weinberg Equilibrium. Now, the Hardy-Weinberg Equilibrium is a concept in genetics of advanced level biology. That's where it's mostly applicable, or that's where it's being taught. And a lot of students face difficulties on this particular concept, on how to apply it in a question, how to be able to decode the information that is being given in the question, and you come out with the correct answer. So we are here to answer the questions. We are here to direct you, to guide you, right, and to make you understand the concept first of all. Okay, so what we'll do is we are going to have a series of lectures on this particular concept. So the first part, just as we did with the Doppler effect, is to give you the concept, to explain the concept to your understanding. Then in the next part of the lecture, okay, that's the second part, we might take an example that it comes in the exam, like an example in the national examination, GCE. We're going to solve it, okay, together. Then we're going to take another question again, maybe we'll solve it in the third part. If maybe students still don't get the concept perfectly, then we can be able to make more videos of more soft examples, right? So that is just our mission, to make sure that you understand whatsoever you want to understand perfectly. Okay, so let's go to the lecture, and please make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so, so that you can be able to receive new lectures each time we upload them on our YouTube page. All right, and like if it's helping you, you comment. All right, tell us how the video was for you. What should we improve? Was it long? Was it too short? Were we too fast? Okay, you let us know, so that we can be able to improve on subsequent videos. Thank you very much. So let's talk about the Hardy-Weinberg Equilibrium. Okay, now the Hardy-Weinberg Equilibrium is also referred to as the Hardy-Weinberg principle. So you can say the Hardy-Weinberg Equilibrium, Hardy and Weinberg. Those are two people. Hardy-Weinberg principle, or you can call it an equilibrium. It can be referred to as a model. It can be referred to as a theorem, or it can be referred to as a law. Okay, so if they use if these words are being used interchangeably, you should not get confused, okay, on what is actually being required of you. Now, what does it state? What is it all about? It states that the frequencies of the allele and the genotype in the population will remain constant from one generation to another in the absence of evolutionary influences. I'm going to take it again. It states that the allele and genotype frequencies in a population will remain constant from one generation to another in the absence of evolutionary influences. Okay, so it means that if you are moving from one generation to another, for example, if I have the genotype maybe for albinism, all right, to be capital A, small a, so a capital A is for normal skin color and A is the gene for albinism. All right, now it's telling me that the frequency of this A, okay, the rate at which this A is going to be occurring in the population is going to be constant from one generation to another. The rate at which this gene of albinism is going to be occurring in the population is going to be constant, okay, from one generation to another, given that there is no evolutionary influence. Now they stated this principle. Okay, they stated this principle based on some assumptions. Okay, because actually in real, in a real population, this is not really applicable. But they actually, stated this principle based on some, assumptions. Okay, and what are these assumptions? There are about 5 of them. All right, the first one is that the population must be large. So there are assumptions, okay, on which this principle is based. Assumptions. So 1, must have a large population. Okay. 2, mating must be random. 3, there is no migration, meaning there is no immigration or immigration. There is no migration. 4, there is no mutation. Just to let you know that these are actually assumptions, okay? This can't actually occur in a real population because genes mutate, from one day to another. All right, every day, every second, genes are there are mutations that are taking place. Now, the 5th one says that there is no natural selection, on the population. No natural selection on the population. Now telling us that every gene or every allele in the population has an equal chance of survival. Okay? Has an equal chance of survival. So if you know how to state the Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium, you know how to state its assumptions, then the next thing we are going to look at, all right, is the equation. All right? Now P is being used to denote the allele frequency for the dominant allele. Okay? Allele frequency of dominant allele, okay, or you can call it the dominant allele frequency, while Q is used to represent the recessive allele frequency. Okay, recessive allele frequency, just for you to know the symbols. Okay, so P is going to give is the dominant allele frequency, or it gives us the dominant allele frequency, and Q is a recessive allele frequency. Telling you that if you have the gene still of that albinism, that's capital A small a, all right, P will represent the frequency of capital A, which is the dominant allele, and Q will represent the frequency of small a, which is a recessive allele. Right now, according to Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium, okay, this frequency will always remain constant. They will always sum up to give us 1. So if you sum up the allele frequencies of the different allele frequencies, it's going to give us 1. Now, what about the genotype frequencies? How do you obtain the genotype frequencies from here? So you obtain the genotype frequency by squaring both sides of the equation. So if you square both sides of this equation, you're going to have P plus Q all squared equal to 1 squared. All right, which will finally give you P squared plus 2pq, okay, plus q squared equal to 1. So P squared is the dominant genotype frequency. For example, let's say still in the case of the albinism, we have capital A, which are the dominant forms of the allele, which combine together to form the genotype, which is a dominant homozygous dominant genotype. Now 2pq represents the heterozygous, or the carriers, heterozygous genotype frequency, while Q squared represents the homozygous recessive allele frequency, recessive genotype, okay, genotype frequency, homozygous recessive genotype frequency. For example, in the population you can have A small a, this is homozygous recessive, and in this case you can have A capital A small a. All right, so this is the basic of Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium. In the subsequent videos, as I said, or in the subsequent lectures, we are going to talk on the different kind of questions which you can have. So we are going to solve some examples, okay, which come from your national examination. So thank you very much, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel.